Hey guys, Desolator Magic here with some interesting news from GP Atlanta, or the Magic Fest Atlanta. It's GP. It's called a Fat Pack and it's called a Grand Prix, okay? So anyway, some guy named Bob Huang, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, got disqualified shortly after round 5 after going 5-0. And this was just September, 20th, 21st, sometime around then, I believe. And the reason he was disqualified was marked sleeves. So the head judge took a look at his sleeves during a deck check and said, these are marked, you're disqualified. So end of story, right? There's no defense for that. Wrong, maybe. I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry and the evidence is there. And upon investigation, what he had to say to the judge was basically, I don't have an explanation for this. But he made a statement claiming he was innocent and he has the reason why. And it's so obscure and random, I feel inclined to believe him. I'm not 100% on this. It's almost like too weird and specific to be true, but then again, we've had people take fake pictures, I believe, in their hotel room of their deck to pretend to prove that the accusations that they added cards or whatever were incorrect, and then it turned out the pictures were an elaborate ruse. So people will double down, triple down, they'll cover for themselves. Nobody comes right out and admits it. They either disappear on social media and say nothing, or they come out to defend themselves, and Bob came out to defend himself. So this is his statement. During GP Atlanta, I was 5-0, given a deck check and DQ'd for marked cards. The head judge asked me how I sleeved my deck, and I said I usually don't sort them. However, all the lands were sleeved using one set of Dragon Shield mats, and all the spells were sleeved using a different set of Dragon Shield mats. And you're probably thinking, he went 5-0 with that, but I think through this entire thing, he's not quite stating correctly what actually happened. So he goes on to say they were the same brand, but very slightly different and noticeable when you looked at them from the side. So what I think is that they were the same product, brand, and like color according to the front label on the sleeves, but they were made weeks or months or years apart. So you can get color variants, you can get edge cut variants based on the sharpness of the blade. I mean, the humidity in the day, the exact mix, whether it was in the top or the bottom of the hopper for materials. This can happen. Now, is this a common method used for cheating and marking cards? Have people actually done this? Well, if you look at the second most viewed video on my channel, with just short of 300,000 views from 3 years ago, when I warned people about this exact problem and stated exactly how people are doing it and how widespread I think it is, and then about 40% of people left a thumbs down saying I completely made it up and it wasn't really happening and I'm imagining cheating that's not really happening. 3 years later, judges are still looking for it because people are still doing it. I don't care if you want to live in a fantasy land where nobody cheats ever and this doesn't go on, but don't do it on my channel. I had to turn off ratings for that video because it heavily implied that what was in the video wasn't true, which is not the case, I assure you. So yes, people will go get some Dragon Shields at one shop, then drive across town and buy some at the other shop. Those are probably produced 6 months to a year apart from each other. And they will have just enough variance in texture, color, if it's Legion sleeves, printing, edge cut style, bonding, thickness. I mean, you name it, they might have a slight variance in it. And then you can have plausible deniability saying, oh, well, I've been buying more and more of these sleeves on and off for 2 years. I didn't know there was a variance. This is an accident. It wasn't on purpose. And then you've got 100% deniability. And theoretically, a judge at a large tournament would give you a warning and then say, re-sleeve your deck immediately and watch for this in the future. Because, I mean, you don't work at the place that makes them. You didn't create the sleeves. You just bought them and thought, hey, these are the same sleeves because that's what it says on the front. It's not your fault. Well, the determining factor is how were they marked? If you have 52 of, one sleeve and then 8 that are just noticeably different on close scrutiny, and those are the 2 most important combo pieces in your deck, or they're like Tron lands or something, that is not a coincidence in all likelihood. But then again, a lot of the people will separate their deck by like lands, spells, and then, by cost maybe, and then they've got the play sets, and then they sleeve them, then they shuffle them. So if there was a variance in sleeves and you ran out at 50, you might have 10 that appear to be a pattern, and then they're all lands. So don't do this on accident. If you're going to buy sleeves, I recommend that you buy them at the same time, in the same order, like from the same shop or distributor. I mean, I picked up 12 of the same ones, like 12 packs of 100. And I opened every single one and held them up to make sure that side by side they were identical, and then I've been using them ever since. That's the best way to do it. Or just if you're going to a big tournament, buy some good durable sleeves and buy like 100 plus of them in the same pack and then just swap them out as needed and then have spares. If they're in the same pack, they probably don't have a variance. They're probably virtually identical. They should be, unless they're really bad brands. This is one of the most devious, like, safe cheats that the pros can do, and trust me, a lot of them are doing it. Don't listen to the 40% dumbasses who left a thumb down on my video saying that it doesn't happen. It does happen. So with that whole history of marked sleeves and sleeve variants being used to cheat and then everybody denying it when they get caught, let's move on to the rest of his statement. So he says, I did not have a good explanation, so I was DQ'd. Then, soon after, my friend Rosemary made me realize that she and my other friend Brandon had sleeved the deck together for me while I was playing MTGO. Bob, get your ass off the computer and sleeve your own deck. My gosh. You know at the airport where they're like, have your bags been in your possession the whole time? That's basically the same policy before you go to a competitive tournament for money. By that point, the disqualification had already happened and it was too late. Essentially what had happened was that the two of them sleeved my deck, one sleeved lands and the other sleeved spells from two different piles of sleeves. I did not notice as the two sleeves were near identical, and I didn't remember that my friends had sleeved for me as I usually do it on my own. In the end, I have a couple takeaways. I do too, Bob, but let's go with yours first. Number 1, which is actually kind of 1 and 2, buy new sleeves and never mix dragon shields. So once again, I do think he's wrong. I don't think like one was gold and one was copper or something, and he was like, oh, those look so visually similar. No, I think they were intended to be the same exact sleeves, but they were bought and produced at different times, so they weren't flawlessly identical. I think, for all intents and purposes, they were the same sleeves. I can't think of two types of dragon shields that would get mixed up visually. Well, and that wouldn't be caught within seconds. But the idea of what he said holds true. 2, I panicked when the head judge told me my sleeves were marked and I had no explanation why. All I could think to myself was, F. Now everybody will think I cheat when I don't. This is my worst nightmare. And by the way, for all the people I catch legitimately cheating with long records of cheating, and I put them on blast in videos, there are quite a few pros who have been either accused of cheating wrongly or been caught cheating incorrectly, and it's just unfortunate circumstances. And I don't mean, oops, I accidentally cheated by forgetting to unsideboard and then not calling a judge on myself, which is not an accident, by the way. I mean, the accident is the accident, but not calling a judge on yourself immediately, that's not an accident. I mean stuff like you accidentally dropped 4 cards on the floor while you were shuffling and they happened to be an irrelevant card, so now you're playing with 56 with a massive advantage. Or you got your sideboard count wrong and went like 64 cards against a mill deck, and then, wow, that looks bad. So yeah, that is pretty much every pro player's worst nightmare. So then he says, if I were able to recall, and I assume he means just remember on the spot while talking to the judge, that I didn't sleeve my cards, I think I would not have been DQ'd, as he was looking for a plausible explanation. The problem is his lands were different than the rest. I mean, you could come up with anything that sounds plausible, and they're probably not going to buy it. But he does say, basically, if he wouldn't have panicked and if he would have just like concentrated and thought what could cause this, who sleeved these, or who was the last one to touch them or whatever, he says we could have gotten or would have gotten my friends Brandon and Rosemary, which I guess were at the event, and brought them over to verify the story, which, oh yeah, friends of yours that can cover for your cheating. That's a great alibi. I think he's overestimating the impact that would have had, but you never know if you got 3 people saying this is what happened, oops. I mean, maybe a warning, maybe a game loss. But he seems to think, yeah, then the reality of the situation would have come out and he would have been fine. So, maybe. So don't just panic, don't shut your brain off and let the adrenaline take over if a judge is accusing you of cheating and you're in a bad situation. Just take a breath and concentrate, I think is what he's trying to say. And if he's not, then that's my advice anyway. And then number 3, when sleeving, do not sort. Shuffle the sleeves and cards, then sleeve. I don't know why you'd shuffle the sleeves, but okay, sure, why not? Yeah, do that. That way, if there is a variance for any reason, it won't be a pattern unless you are the least lucky person on the planet. Do not sleeve your deck while the cards are sorted. I cannot stress that enough. Me and Bob both agree on that. He even says that way if the cards are marked, it will be randomly marked cards. I think he means sleeves. Don't mark your cards. So he ends with, in the end, it's an unfortunate situation, but I will try to bounce back in the PTQ tomorrow. The judge staff did a fine job based on the information that they had, and I have nothing against them. See, that's nice. That's classy right there. That's why I think this guy's not lying. In fact, I want to thank them for taking so much time, as it was a very long investigation that had many follow-ups and involved lots of people. Oh, so it sounds like there was follow-up after the DQ, and then he told them about what happened later, which is why he's allowed to play in a PTQ the next day. I feel like he wouldn't be, pending DCI investigation, but in the meantime, regardless, I feel like somebody would have said something. So he says, I am ready to bounce back from a series of unfortunate events. I have a theory that Rosemary and Brandon were trying to knock him out. Somebody put out a hit on him and paid them off. Damn it, Rosemary and Brandon, who are almost definitely in the comment section of this video at some point. Hi guys, I don't know you, but I'm just kidding. Unless I'm not, I'm on to you guys. But probably not, probably not. But maybe. All I'm saying is if Bob suddenly disappears, might want to check what Brandon and Rosemary were doing that day. I'm just saying. So, yeah, this whole situation sucks, and it would be a hell of a twist if it turns out that actually it was him the whole time. Brandon and Rosemary do not corroborate the story at all. Or to be even more dramatic, if one of them goes along with it and then one of them flips and says, actually, he paid us to say that. I've never met this guy before in my life. I never sleeved a deck for him. It's all a ruse. But I don't see that coming. But if it is, I'll make a follow-up video on this. So let's all say it together, guys. Bob, that sucks. You know what'll make you feel better though, and what can prevent this in the future, Bob? I'm no pro player, but I've been around the block. I can give you this tip. Buy a Desolator Magic shirt on teespring.com and wear it to the next tournament, because then this will never happen. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I don't see the link here. I don't see how those two have anything to do with each other. Yeah, it's complicated. This video is already 11 minutes long. I don't really want to go into it, but just trust me. Snarky, comedically written Desolator Magic t-shirts and sleeve consistency, they really do go hand in hand. I mean, there's a lot of science behind that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm already getting rumors that somebody else got disqualified for cheating, either at the same event or a couple days later at a different one. Oh my god. I'll see you guys next video.